back for the conference championships of the NFL. We got some massive game, Niners at Eagles, Bengals at Chiefs. Episode 17 of Joe's Knows Football. Will Kukowski, Brian Burke, Jack Hemler. I'm Ben Shadwick. So, Will, let's jump right into it. We're going to give you some breakdowns, our predictions later on in the episode. So give us that Eagles breakdown.
Big game. It's going to be a tough matchup for sure. Two great teams battling against each other with the Eagles and the 49ers. It's probably, in what I believe, the most evenly matched game we'll see in this entire playoffs. I think these are the two most talented rosters in the league right now left. And, it's debatable with guys like Mahomes and Burrow on the other side. But, to get into it, the Eagles this year have just been excellent. I've heard a lot of people calling them overrated. Haven't played good teams. It's hard to say that, especially looking at last week when we still had the Giants and Cowboys in, right?
Yeah.
So just going off of that, the pressure is one thing that I believe is going to be huge for the Eagles. Getting to the quarterback is what they need to do. Brock Purdy, as a young quarterback, has excelled. He's been amazing. Everybody's like, so is he the rookie of the year? We don't know. He's been playing super well. And here's why I believe he's not going to play well. So looking into it early, he hasn't played defenses with really much to offer. He's played in his 5 different starts in the regular season. He played Arizona, Las Vegas, Washington, Tampa, Seattle, and Miami. And just for reference, these defenses, like Arizona, ranked 31st in team passer rating. So basically, what they're allowing on defense as a passer rating has not been good. Like, they're allowing the 31st highest. Las Vegas, the worst in the league. Washington, around middle at 17. And then Tampa and Miami, 27-28. So he hasn't faced much on a defensive level. So I believe that the Eagles, who have sent pressure like crazy, will be like all over Purdy. What do you think, Chadwick?
No, I'm going to be talking about the 49ers in a little bit, but to keep it on the Eagles, you saw what he did against the Cowboys last week, like less than 20 points. Yes, it's a very impressive Cowboys defense. But like I said, it's also a very impressive Eagles defense. And this Niners offense, or this Eagles offense, is a lot better. I think a lot of people can agree than the Cowboys offense. More consistent quarterback, obviously. So you cannot be doing what you did last week against the Cowboys against this Eagles defense, or else it's almost a guaranteed win for Philly.
Yeah, I know that Cowboys game was a little rough for you to watch. It's all right.
Sure.
But going back to it, the Eagles had coming in this year. They had a great secondary. We know their linebacking core was very solid, and I feel like a bit of a rough patch that their GM went out and got guys for was their D line, and a huge addition that I was all over early. I love the guy Hassan Reddick. They pick him up, and he is just killing it coming off the edge. And with that addition, the Eagles are first in the league in sacks per game. They're getting 4.1 sacks per game. That is huge. That is hard. Sacks often are drive stoppers. Usually, you get to second down, you sack quarterback. Now you're looking at 3rd and long. It's really hard to operate from there. The Eagles be doing that 4 times a game. That is a massive stat. And they're going against a team that, doesn't allow many sacks. They're allowing the 6th least in the league. So it's going to be a matchup of 2 complete opposites. It's going to be a very, very close game. Two great offenses, 2 great defenses. It's going to be a really tough matchup. But personally, I like the Eagles in this one. I think, another close thing is I think they have a better coach. It's going to be a very close debate. I know Jack loves Shanahan, but I really think Sirianni, just younger coach, he's just completely taken over this league. He's done a great job.
Yeah, so guys, anything else you want to touch on with the Eagles before we move on?
Well, I just want to touch on that. Micah Parsons had a horrible game last week. No sacks, like Will did not expect at all. So who do you think on the Eagles D-line that's going to really show out?
Well, I did mention him earlier, Hassan Reddick, but it's as you said, it's an edge rusher. So I really think that's going to be a D tackle now. The interior O-line for that San Francisco group isn't as strong as their outside, as we know. Amazing tackle who's going best in the league, who's going to shut down Reddick. But I think it's going to be like a guy like Jordan Davis, who really is, a younger guy, but he is a stud. He's strong. Expect him to break through that line and get to Purdy. And, at least mess up that run game with McCaffrey trying to break free.
And Will, the other thing with the Eagles D line is I think they have a very underrated edge rushing duo. So I mean, yes, someone will get locked up and just completely shut out of the game by Trent Williams, but on the other side, whether it's Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat, I think they could have a really nice game here today, depending on who goes where against Mike McGlinchey.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a game of chess, as I mentioned earlier. Two amazing head coaches. I really think that this game will be a game that will blow the minds of many NFL fans, because this is going to be these two teams play very, very, very obscure football. They have both created a new type of scheme on the offensive side, and they both run it extremely well. I mean, what we're going to be seeing is like an offensive battle that just doesn't look like normal football, and this is going to be an amazing game. But I mean, I really do think that that matchup is going to come down with who's getting Reddick and who's getting Sweat on each side. But it's going to be a very difficult day for Purdy in that pocket. I mean, even if there is a pocket, I don't know if he's going to have much time, but we do know that a lot of these games for the 49ers aren't won by Brock Purdy. We all know that it's been that short pass game. Jack talks a lot about it a lot, with Debo being such a stud and Ayuk. I mean, Jack, what do you think offensively for the 49ers could help them, break free of this pass rush?
I guess the quick passes, Shanahan, who I do think is a better coach just because he's been doing it longer. Like we can't just
yeah.
That's like saying, Trevor Lawrence is better than Brady because, Trevor Lawrence had a better year. I just think Brady's been better. So Shanahan's been doing it longer, and he writes up these schemes with the quick passes for Purdy, gets the ball out in 2 to 3 seconds. For a defensive lineman, it's hard to sack him in 2 to 3 seconds. So especially with a great route runner, a really good route runner like Brandon Ayuk, gets open quick. I think he could have a really good game.
Yeah, and I mean that's gonna be the one problem. I mean, if you look back at Brock Purdy's passing charts, he stays very short. Although he does excel throwing the deep ball, he's done it very well. But one last stat I like to pull up is, I mean, Brock Purdy, he averages 80 air yards per game. So that's, I mean, when the ball leaves his hands to the time it gets to the receiver's hands, take away all the run after catch. I mean, Burke, what do you think is going to be the Eagles? How do you think they're going to be able to stop this after the catch madness that the 49ers are able to display with all their, amazing wide receivers?
I feel like. Oh wait, hold on. What was the question again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Sorry. So basically, how do you think the Eagles secondary is going to be able to stop the 49ers after the catch?
Yeah, I feel like have like Darius Slay or any of the secondary guys creep up a little bit. I know he has some weapons like George Kittle. As soon as we saw him in the Dallas game, as soon as he caught it, he got a couple of yards. You need to lock down one of those guys like George Kittle or Brandon Ayuk. They probably could have a good game today, but if you lock those two guys up, Eagles can win.
Yeah, and for
For
tackling, like their linebackers have been very good this year. Kaiser White and TJ Edwards have a high tackle, rate in these games, so I could see them.
Yeah,
tackles for them.
I believe the Eagles actually are like the leading team in tackles. It's either that or the Vikings. I forgot what team it was, but I know their linebacking core doesn't blow you away. It's not they're not going to be like, especially nowhere near as good as this 49ers linebacking core. But I mean, if they just play the game right, it's the 49ers are a team where they're going to just keep on passing. They're just going to keep on, making little short plays until you make a mistake. I mean, we definitely saw it. I know, I'm sorry, Burke, but we saw it against the Seahawks. I believe it was Ayuk. A little dump off turned into like a 60-yard catch. I mean, it's these little mistakes, and for a young team like the Seahawks, it killed them. But I think this Eagles team, age almost doesn't matter. They are so experienced. They are so ready for this moment. I think they will be able to come up and just make the plays happen and let their offense cook.
Yeah, and Will, you brought up George Kittle, and you got to worry about him. I'm not saying that this guy is going to just take him out of the game, because that's not what's going to happen. But TJ Edwards has been a very impressive coverage linebacker on the year, both in man and in zone. So maybe you just kind of have him follow around Kittle the entire game. I mean, once again, it's not going to get him out of the game, but I think that might be your best case scenario because your safeties have not played incredible this year. Epps and Gardner Johnson have been okay, but they pale in comparison to the talent on the rest of this defense and the rest of the team for that matter. So I think you have TJ Edwards follow around Kittle. You let your corners do what they've done all year. And I think you can skate by this one with a pretty solid defensive game for Philly.
Yeah. I wish it was that simple. It's gonna be a lot. I mean, TJ Edwards, as I said, he's not a guy who's gonna come up when you look up like best linebackers. He's not gonna blow you away, but he will play, the pass coverage role very well. He's gonna shut down Kittle. But the one problem that I have with him shutting down Kittle is Kittle's gonna be everywhere. He's gonna be doing a lot. They line him as it's getting repetitive at this point, but the 49ers are going to line him up everywhere. He's going to block. He's going to be out in the slot. He's going to be, as a tight end. So it's going to be difficult for him to stop him, like schematically. But I also do believe that, in a one-on-one scenario, it's going to be hard to beat TJ Edwards, just vertically, horizontally. A very, very sound linebacker. So I think this 49ers offense is finally running into the challenge that we kind of didn't expect. I do remember on this show, I mean, we were talking about the 49ers game against the Seahawks. We're like, how are they ever going to lose? This team, and almost to me, it seems like it's impossible if they lose. I think this Eagles team holds the answer. I mean, they're just very good all around, so talented. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I mean, Will, I think it is going to be an awesome game. And I'll touch on the Niners a little bit here. We brought up that their past schedule, they're annihilating offensively these teams. And they play the Cowboys, they drop 19 points. But, I mean, like we said, you play the Eagles, drop 41, 38, 37. I mean, they're averaging over 35 points per game with Brock Purdy at quarterback. And then they come into the Dallas game and drop 19. And now you're playing another Eagles team who is maybe just as good as that Cowboys defense and a lot better on offense. So there's a lot to work on for the 49ers. You cannot keep up the offensive play that you have. You gotta try and find a way to replicate those 30-plus point games. I know it's gonna be difficult, but you played some solid defenses, some top 15, maybe top 10 defenses. So you gotta try and replicate that game. You cannot do what you did last week because they got bailed out by their defense. And I think the 49ers defense will show up in this game. I'm not too worried about that. Eagles offense is very good, coming off a 38-7 point win against the Giants. But I think the Niners defense will do well enough. And to be honest, I don't think anyone expected this. It's all going to come down to the hands of Brock Purdy. I mean, he is the main guy. He is the one that decides the Niners' fate. If he has a good to great game, hey, they have a real shot. They could probably win this game. If he just plays like a game manager, which everyone loves to call him, I think this is the Eagles' game to lose. So I don't know if you guys want to talk on Purdy a little bit, but for me, he is the deciding factor in this one.
Yeah, well, I do have one thing to add. I just wanted to go back to what you said about, how you said the Eagles and the Eagles defense is, it's close to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not gonna challenge you on what defense is better. I do want to add the fact that I think this Eagles defense is gonna be more of a challenge for the 49ers because I believe they have more depth around the around the team. I mean, the Cowboys have guys who are just super talented. I mean, they have Micah Parsons coming off the edge, which we all know he's probably one of the best defensive players in the league. But I think the Eagles have guys just all around the field who can make plays. Dallas has some holes in their defense, not too many, but I think it's going to be really, really difficult for Purdy to look around this field. Like, not many guys are going to be open. It's going to be a lot tough. Oh, wow, that's a really good throw by Dak there.
No, I mean, well, like you were saying, though, I mean, I think the Cowboys team has superstars, but the Eagles just have a unit on defense. Like, they are just they're a well-oiled machine. While Dallas, you just have DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons like making some plays here and there. This Eagles is constantly putting pressure on every single player on the field, and the corners are going to look very good against this Niners receiving core. Like I said, that edge rushing duo for Philly can look to have a nice game. Obviously, Trent Williams is going to play great at left tackle, but left end, you got Reddick, maybe you got Sweat heading over there. I think they got a really nice game against McGlinchey. But to talk about the Niners offense a little bit, I mean, like we said, Purdy, like we said, Williams. I think George Kittle has to come up in this game. He has the most playoff experience out of any of them. I think he needs to get a 60, maybe an 80-yard day, a touchdown or two, to just play incredibly on the blocking side of the thing. So I think Kittle is very underrated in this matchup. And then obviously the man himself from the trade, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I don't know what you guys are expecting from McCaffrey. Are you expecting more out of the air? Or are you expecting a 100-plus yard on the run game? So, like, what are you guys expecting from Christian McCaffrey in this one?
I don't know if I really expect much because he did not play good against Dallas.
Well,
He really-
I do want to add some. So McCaffrey, he had a calf injury last game,
That's true.
bothered him a lot, so that slowed him down. He's fully healthy now. He said that there's nothing constraining him from playing, but I really think it's just he's not going to be effective in this run game. But the one thing that they do have still going for them is Elijah Mitchell, as the running back, the solid running back they could still have. And Jack, the ability to line up Mitchell and McCaffrey on the same play
Yeah.
and have one, as more of a run guy and one as a pass guy, how lethal is that against a defense like the Eagles, who, yes, their secondary is going to play really well and their run game is going to be very solid. So to find like many holes, especially in the short pass game, how important is that?
The dual set of them two, and then you don't run a pass play, and then you have McCaffrey on an angle, which is very hard to stop when he's coming through the middle to catch a ball, or Mitchell running. Like Mitchell's a very hard runner. Instead of him getting injured at the start of the year, people forget about him. He's a very good runner. I don't know about the run game really, accelerating today, but the pass catching from the running backs could accelerate.
Yeah, the Eagles definitely, I think, top 3 in the rushing yards per game. They shut down the run. They shut down basically everything. So it's all going to be a challenge. But I do like this Elijah Mitchell. He's been great. As you said, if he didn't get hurt right away, McCaffrey wouldn't be here. They would probably just be leaning on him. But he is a very strong runner. He's going to go right at guys. He's going to go right through them. So, that's going to pose a challenge, especially in the run game. And I really think that if this game is won by the 49ers, it's going to be won by these running backs. There's going to be something happening. McCaffrey is such an amazingly talented running back. He does it all. So it's going to be hard to get him on the ground. But, the 49ers, they have a lot of weapons. It's just how are they going to handle, how are they going to get everybody involved? And I think if they do it properly, they could pull this one out.
Yeah, and guys, you talked about the short game. What better running back to have for a short game passer than Christian McCaffrey? It doesn't get much better than that for Purdy. And obviously you got Ayuk, who's very good on the short routes. Kittle, very good on short routes. So, Purdy has the weapons, and we've seen him do incredible things with them. But like we said, in this game, he kind of fell off a little bit when he faced some real talent on defense. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens against the Eagles. Brian, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I had a question about the 49ers defense. Would you be worried about Jalen Hurts because he's a mobile QB? Do you think who would you have on him if he runs out of the pocket? Maybe he could run for a first down or maybe pass to one of his deep guys like A.J. Brown. Who would you be worried about?
I don't think you can just stick like Fred Warner or someone like that on him and just do a QB spy the whole game. I think you just kind of always keep it in the back of your head. Maybe Drake Greenlaw has been very good on run defense as well as containing quarterbacks, but I think just running a QB spy and trying to eliminate any quarterback run game is going to be detrimental to your defense. You're just taking a guy away from the play. I think you just got to rely on Nick Bosa and Ebukam to try and contain him inside the pocket. And when he doesn't, then you have those linebackers in the second level who are probably the best core in the league. So it's in the back of your mind, but I don't think you're worrying about it as being a game ender for the type of skill he has in the run game. I think we'll move on then.
Oh, I got a question.
I'll go ahead.
So you look at the Eagles schedule, right? And they played two shootouts games. They played, of course, the second Eagles-Cowboys game and the Packers-Eagle game. And you look at both of those games and you see CeeDee Lamb had 10 receptions, 120 yards, 2 TDs. And Christian Watson had four receptions, 110 yards, and a TD. Who do you think on the Niners does it for them, Ayuk or Debo?
I don't think either of them. I don't think anyone has a massive game like that. If I had to pick one, I guess I would say Ayuk. I think he's had a great year so far, a real breakout year. But I don't think there's going to be one receiver that's going for like 130, 140, 150, and that's the reason why they win. I think if the Niners win offensively, it's going to be a team unit, and defensively, it's going to be a team unit. No one is really going to stand out. I mean, maybe McCaffrey has a day, but I don't think he does. I think just the whole offense plays well enough to get past this Eagles defense. I don't see one guy standing out among the rest. So, guys, yeah, I think if we don't have anything else to add, I will move on to the Bengals at the Chiefs. So, Brian, I'll throw it over to you. Give us some thoughts on the Bengals and how they win this game.
Yeah, they played a great game in Buffalo last week. And, yeah, I want to mention that 4 out of the 5 starting O-linemen is hurt. One is, I think, is still playing, but did not look good during the Buffalo game. So I feel like Chris Jones and that defensive line for Kansas City might have a field day. So in order to break that, Joe Burrow needs to get the ball out quick. And I don't think they're going to rely on the run game with Joe Mixon a lot during this game. So maybe use him as a blocker and get the ball out really quick. Yeah, pretty much that, and put the game away early. Pretty much get all the momentum. And, yeah. Also, Eli Apple, he was talking trash last night. So hopefully he can back that up, not get burnt by Travis Kelce or any of those guys. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Brian, you brought up Chris Jones. I'm sure Jack is going to talk a lot about him when we get to that Chiefs breakdown. But, I mean, this Bengals O-line, especially the interior O-line, is not the greatest. So, I mean, do you just double him the entire game? Do you send Mixon or Hurst on some blocks to make sure that he's taken care of?
Yeah, I see. Before this, I didn't think they're gonna have much of a run game, and I know Joe Mixon's a great running back, but especially now, I feel like they need him to block and maybe even get him like 2 yards and dump it off to him. But the offensive line before everybody was hurt was not the greatest, so yeah, maybe just get an extra block from Joe Mixon or Hurst.
And then for the Bengals defense, I mean, is there any guy that you want to highlight? I know they've been solid as a unit, but there's a couple guys standing out. So anyone you're looking towards to really stand out and maybe get this win for the Bengals in Arrowhead?
Yeah, the secondary really needs to step up. Jesse Bates and Ted Hendricks could rush. So I'd say those 2 guys really need to step up in this game, especially. Also, I want to mention Patrick Mahomes. Everybody knows his eye ankle sprain. So you kind of need to get him mobile. So like Ted Hendricks rushing in, and if he gets out of the pocket, it's a field day pretty much.
Go ahead, Will.
I do also want to add something about this Bengals offense, and I know Burke mentioned it about the offensive line, and I know everybody's going to be worried about the offensive line, but I feel like it's a problem every single Bengals game. I don't think they've played with a fully healthy unit like ever. They always have guys down. They've always been a weak offensive line, and I mean, like, Burrow just has kind of lived in that world. That's kind of how he's played. And with receivers, like, I mean, Jamar Chase is a perfect receiver for Burrow, not just because they were buddies over at LSU, but I mean, he's going to drop down very short routes and help him get that ball out quickly. So I do think the Bengals actually will still be able to excel with this extreme pass rush coming at them with like no guys blocking. I mean, if you even like go back to the game last week where Jamar Chase had his first touchdown, I think Burrow had about like a second and a half in the pocket. He had 5 guys just run him. He just stepped up and flipped it over to flipped it over the top to Jamar Chase and let him work. I mean, Chuck, these wide receivers on the Bengals are it's a great receiving core, but who do you think is going to be, stepping up? We have, Tyler Boyd usually is not the best guy. He could have a breakout game. You got Jamar Chase, but who do you think is really going to be the difference maker?
Oh, if I had to pick a receiver, I'm picking Jamar Chase. I mean, they've had that connection since college. I know everyone talks about that, but it's true. It really does have an impact. The Chiefs' cornerback core is slightly underrated. I think L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie have had a very underrated year for the 2 of them, but they still just pale in comparison. There's no matchup for this Chiefs receiving unit. So I think this is the way the Chiefs win the game. The Chiefs or the Bengals win the game. The Chiefs have some solid linebackers who could affect the run game. So I think you just hammer the pass game. You just keep airing it out. I'm expecting 300 plus yards from Burrow today, which I don't think is too crazy to say. I'm just the air raid for the Bengals is going to be the way they win this game.
Yeah, and I mean, people are worried about that about how Burrow's going to react in the pocket. People forget this is Joe Shiesty. This is Joe Cool. This is he's not fazed by anything. I mean, have you guys ever seen this guy seem like he's worried or in fear of losing? No, the guy's just he's gonna walk through a brick wall. I mean, this guy will do anything. I don't think that Chris Jones is gonna strike any fear in his eyes. He's probably just gonna stiff arm him and throw a touchdown or something. I mean, this is gonna be a good matchup. But I don't think this is gonna be anywhere near the Eagles game. I think the Bengals are, in my opinion, just gonna blow out the Chiefs.
Well, I mean, before we move on to the Chiefs and Jack's breakdown, Brian, I want to ask you one more question. We saw the Bengals defense just shut down Josh Allen and the Bills. Just 10 points allowed in the last game, and then they allow 17 and 16 to the Ravens in those back-to-back weeks. So, what was the difference between having such a close game against Baltimore in the wild card and then beating the Bills by 17? I mean, those teams are obviously nowhere near each other in terms of talent, especially with Lamar Jackson out. So, what do you think happened between those 2 weeks?
Especially the first game, the wild card weekend, I feel like they realized that they needed to step up. They almost lost to a backup quarterback, which was kind of embarrassing, but then they really stepped it up during the week. Maybe the secondary and the pass rush. We saw that it was Hubbard that had 98.
Sam Hubbard, yeah. Yeah,
Sam Hubbard, on 98 fumble recovery. So, they really need to step up. And then against the Bills game, they played amazing, and they really shut down Stephon Diggs. He complained about not getting the ball. He was wide open. So maybe it was Josh Allen's fault. We don't know. But we only giving up 10 points is a win in my books.
Yeah, and also, they let Mark Andrews get 5 catches for 73 yards, which is a solid day. And now you're playing a tight end with the caliber of Travis Kelce. So, they weren't really able to shut down Mark Andrews. What are you expecting them to do against Kelce, and what are you expecting from Kelce in the first place?
I feel like Kelce's going to have a field day. I think he's going to have a great game. But maybe get some of the linebacker core. They're pretty good. So maybe want to get one of those guys on him the whole game. So, yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to Jack's Chiefs breakdown, where you can talk about Kelce and just a couple other players, maybe that guy at the quarterback helm. So, Jack, take it over.
Yeah, I guess we'll start at Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the league. He's been supposed to win the MVP this year, but it's the high ankle sprain. I can't really show the video, but my ankle specialist over here, Will Kukowski, and me, we both looked at it. We saw that, when he's walking down the stairs, usually when you walk downstairs, you use your toe first. You use your toe first to land and then, get the full foot, get the full heel down. He didn't do that. He stepped right in the middle, right in the back of it. It was stiff,
Yeah.
It looked like he didn't want to see anybody limping.
Can I add a little bit to that?
You got it.
So as he said, usually you're trying to land first to the toe, feel the area, and then when you're walking, this is your foot, you're gonna land, and you're gonna kind of push off to walk. You're gonna push off to push forward. It was a very much flat surface, and when you're walking like that, you're walking with a lot of your quads. You're just kind of walking like a robot. His knees were not very bent, wasn't looking very athletic. And for one of the most athletic quarterbacks, it's a very bad look. I mean, I've seen him he's jogging around. Every time he was jogging around, he ran in the same direction. He was running on his non-sprained foot. So he was putting his pressure on his non-sprained foot. So I believe that the Bengals probably have an idea of, how they're going to pressure him and work around it. But, all around you see he looks good, he looks bad, and you're never going to get the true answer until the game because there's people trying to throw you off. But I think in my best discrepancy, I think that Mahomes is hurt. He's hurting, and it's going to be one hit away from him being in a total amount of pain. You're not there's like a 5% chance that we see Mahomes not flinch in pain once this game. He's gonna get hit once. He's gonna step on it in a wrong way. I mean, all in the motion, he's gonna forget during the game. He's gonna forget he's got this whole ankle sprain. He's gonna take a cut step with that foot. It's gonna roll out of place a little bit, and it's gonna be hurting like crazy. So, yes, is Mahomes gonna start? Yes, he's probably gonna start. Is there a chance he doesn't play the full game? Yeah. I mean, it's gonna re-injure, and it's gonna be like very bad for him. So, I mean, that's my best insight about his ankle. I mean, Jack, you want to go on about?
Yeah. So you take Mahomes outside of the run game because in the playoffs he likes to run a lot. So now you have really only Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon. Isaiah Pacheco 100 yards last game. Very good game against the Jaguars rush defense, which is not that bad. But also the Bengals rush defense is about middle of the pack in stats wise. So I could see Isaiah Pacheco having a solid game. And then just receiving wise, like just Eli Apple, he's just so annoying in the way he talks. For it to be so bad, like I looked at his PFF grade. I think Chadwick can like confirm it's horrible. He's not really a good cornerback. If he sees Kadarius Toney on this line, Kadarius Toney will cook him. So I looked at Kadarius Toney this game instead of Travis Kelce because we've been saying this for 5 years now. How do you stop Travis Kelce? What are you going to do today to stop Travis? You don't stop Travis Kelce. You just don't. There's no way to stop him. And then, so I think him and Kadarius Toney have a game. And for the pass protection, the left tackle, the right tackle, they have to, stop Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard because they're one of the fastest D linemen in the whole league. And if they get to Mahomes, he can't evade that pocket right now with that high ankle sprain. So you really have to help out Mahomes this game, which they've seen they haven't done, one of those Super Bowls. And defensively, it's Jamar Chase you have to stop. So he's had 350 yards and 4 TDs in his 3 games against the Chiefs. That is absurd. L'Jarius Sneed needs to lock that down, keep them to like 50 yards, and hope T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are quiet for the night. And if that doesn't happen, you got to win in a shootout. That's the only way I see the Chiefs winning this game is a shootout.
Yeah, and Jack, real quick, you brought up Eli Apple, big PFF guy right here. So obviously, like you said, very bad grade. There have been 13 corners that have played worse this season according to PFF. He is 105th out of 118 corners who have been graded this season. So congrats to Eli Apple.
Yeah, you can talk all you want.
I mean, what a season.
Yeah, a great Twitter season for him. On the football field, maybe a little different, but hey, he's killing it on Twitter.
I mean, he even got his mom involved. That's how bad he's been playing.
Go ahead, Brian.
So I have a question for you, Jack. Even if Patrick Mahomes does not play the full game, they had Chad Henne. He did lead it was like 90-yard touchdown drive against Jacksonville. Do you think he could Patrick Mahomes goes down? Do you think he could win the game for against the Bengals?
Anything is possible.
It depends how late Mahomes goes down. If he goes down in the first half, I just don't see that happening. I don't see Chad Henne taking that pressure for the whole game. But if he goes down in like late third quarter, fourth, Andy Reid definitely has a side of the playbook where he knows Chad Henne could facilitate the game well because we've seen him do it against the Browns a couple of years ago, especially how good that offense is with the weapons. You could see him facilitate a game for a full quarter, but for a full game, I just don't see him out-dueling Burrow. I just can't see that.
Yeah, I also do want to add something. You mentioned their weapons. I mean, this Kansas City wide receiving core has been, I would like to say, saved by Travis Kelce because I do want to say it's probably one of the worst in the league outside of Kelce. You could say what you want. They lead the league in drops at the wide receiver position. I mean, Juju is not playing well. Marcus Scantling the fifth. He's been all right. He'll pop up every once in a while. I'll be like, oh, that guy is still in the league. Kadarius Toney, but I mean, I don't know. So this Chiefs offense isn't really good. And Jack, you did mention that there's no way to stop Travis Kelce. And I think that's very true. But how if Travis Kelce is stopped, how do the Chiefs win this game?
Gosh,
Jack will answer for you if you want me to.
they don't.
They don't.
They don't win this game if they stop Travis Kelce.
I think that's true too. I was looking back at this. I was looking at this game, and I think this might be Travis Kelce's greatest. Like if this is Travis Kelce's best game ever in his career, it wouldn't blow my mind because Mahomes historically, especially in the first quarter, looks at Travis Kelce to get him going. I mean, he gets hot, he gets in his groove, and it's all usually with the short plays of Travis Kelce. Now you're gonna have to expect that there's gonna be no sort of groove for Patrick Mahomes because of his injury. He's not gonna be able to get settled in that pocket. He's gonna be feeling very unsettled. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another 14 reception day from Kelce.
I mean, something else I want to throw out there too. I mean, if Kelce is shut down, and I'm going to be this guy right now. You still have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Like I know he's hurt, but he's still Patrick Mahomes against a bad cornerback unit that the Bengals have.
I get that, but Josh Allen did nothing last week.
Can I add something real quick?
Go ahead.
This Bengals team, I was bringing up, team pass rating of the opponent team pass rating. They rank first in the league. The quarterbacks have been very poor against this team. Sure, they have a very bad cornerback core, but as Jack mentioned, that D line, their pressure that they bring to the quarterback, it is very, very, very difficult to withstand. Sure, they're not getting the quarterback on the ground a lot, but they wreak havoc in that backfield. And then, I mean, Chadwick, I know you're a football genius here. Jesse Bates, I believe, is having an amazing season, right? He came into the year being an all-pro safety, but he's playing almost better than we expected.
No, he is playing great, but you brought up the D-line. I think we got to give some credit to the Chiefs' O-line this year. I mean, they went all out in free agency. Trent Brown Jr., Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey might just be the best center in the NFL right now. Trey Smith is having an awesome year, guy they just drafted. So I think they could definitely hold their own. I know this Bengals D-line, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, they played really, really great. But, I mean, the Chiefs' O-line has been super underrated and really great this season. And I think that they can be relied on to help protect Mahomes, especially in his injured state.
Yeah, no, definitely a step up from last year where we were talking about the Chiefs having one of the worst offensive lines, maybe not the worst, but a very, very rough one. And I do think it's going to help. Mahomes is going to Mahomes, doesn't care if he's injured. But, I mean, if we take everything out of this game, if we forget about the injuries, we forget about, all the standards, all the factors, I still think the Bengals win. I mean, Burke, what are your thoughts? I mean, if say Mahomes is fully healthy, do you still think the Bengals have this game?
It really depends. I mean, Mahomes is a great quarterback. I would say he's the MVP, but yeah, I still think it's gonna be a really close game, and I feel like the Chiefs could actually win that game if Mahomes is fully healthy. I mean, he could run. He's very mobile when he is an athletic. He could get all the throws out, but today I feel like he needs to be a pocket QB, which is gonna be kind of weird to see Mahomes as a pocket QB. So.
All right, so I mean, hey, we're going to get to the predictions for that game. I'm guessing we all have a bit of a shootout, but first, let's get to that 3:00 game. The 2-seed 49ers are heading over to the Link, the number 1 seed Philadelphia Eagles. It's at 3:00, just a few hours away from it. So, Will, give us your score and your winner for this one.
So I'm going to start off with my winner. I think the Eagles are going to take this one home. I mean, this is a very, very tight game. I mean, I spoke about it earlier. It's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a 27-17 win for the Eagles. I don't really see much of a shootout here. I know two amazing offenses going against each other, but also two amazing defenses. I love this matchup. I'm going to be glued to my TV at 3:00, and I think the Eagles are going to take this one home.
Brian?
I'm agree with Will here. I'm going to say the Eagles are going to take this one home. I was not happy seeing the Seahawks lose to the 49ers. So I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles today. Fly, Eagles, fly. And I'm going to say they're going to win 27-21.
Jack? Oh, we'll get,
I think
I'll get my,
you're having some
Are you good
technical
or no?
difficulties. You're on mute. You're on mute,
I was on mute. That was my bad.
Yeah.
What I was saying is that Will knows I've been switching, back and forth all week on this game, and
Do it.
first half is big on this game because Brock Purdy, young kid, is going to come out to the Lincoln Financial Field, and I think he's going to be spooked. I think it's going to be a very dominant Eagles first half, and then the second half comes, bit more adjustments. Niners play way better. They start coming back into this game, but I think the dreams unfold, the nightmares control. Eagles win it, 31-24.
Oh man, I mean, what a way to give the prediction.
I mean, come on. I mean, you're him.
That
Get
was
Chadwick
incredible.
off this.
That's straight to TikTok.
Get
immediately.
Chadwick
I
out
mean, it has
of
to
this.
go
I
on
mean,
TikTok.
come on. Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I think the Eagles have a great passing game today. If AJ Brown is shut down, Devontae Smith is stepping up. If Smith is shut down, AJ Brown is stepping up. Give me the Eagles. I'll go 27-21 in a close one. I think Purdy finally falls. We'll move on
Purdy.
to the next game. The number 3 seed Bengals heading over to Arrowhead. The 1 seed Chiefs at 6:30. Will.
Give me Bengals in this one. I mean, I don't care. Burrowhead this, Burrowhead that. It is Burrowhead. Joe Burrow owns the Chiefs. He owns the NFL, and he is the GOAT. I don't know who he's a GOAT of, but he is. Give me the Bengals 27-20 in this one.
Brian?
I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one. I don't like the whole thing about Patrick Mahomes being hurt, and I'm gonna say they win 20-17 in Arrowhead.
Jack?
I don't have a rap lyric for this because this game is too easy. I think Jamar Chase, even though I said they should stop him, they're not going to stop him. Jamar Chase is one of the best receivers in the league right now, and I think Bengals win more of a low scoring game, 24-14.
I'll be the odd man out then. I mean, I'm going to take the MVP. I mean, you all three are taking the Bengals. I'm taking the MVP. Give me the Chiefs. I think it's definitely going to be high scoring. I'm going to go 34-31. I think it's an all-time classic in terms of conference championship games. So yeah, 34-31, Chiefs win. And guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Joe's Knows Football. So for Will Kwiatkowski, Brian Burke, Jack Kemmler, I've been Ben Schauder. Thanks for watching.